Hello there, glad you joined me. Our painting today consists of a lot of beautiful yellow colors. We're using yellow and yellow ochre. Going to add a little bit of burnt sienna to it too. Let's go ahead and get started. We're going to start in the horizon with yellow, cad yellow medium, and white. We'll start right above the background trees. Now pre-sketch the canvas just to save a little bit of time. This is going to be background trees way back in the distance. And above those, we want to add this yellow in the horizon all the way across the canvas. Pull your yellow down over your outline just a little bit. Now if you think this sketch is, it's sort of scary, it really isn't. You have straight lines. You find, if you want to freehand it yourself, just find the middle of your canvas, drop down about an inch and a half, make a straight line, and then from there, you know where you're going to place your cabin. You place it in the bank, not on top of it. Pull the banks up above it, just go from there. The first line that I would place would be where the sky, where the land and the water meet, not the sky. Land and water. Okay, now we're going to load with yellow ochre and white and continue to the top of the canvas. All the way down to the yellow. Now the book that was written for this series, we have patterns for those of you who are afraid to try your drawing. We have the full-size pattern in the book. So you can just either freehand it yourself or just pull the pattern out and trace it right on and get going. Full size. Okay, we're going to fill in all of the rest of the sky now. Okay, now this is a span of water down in here, and while I'm working with the yellow ochre and the white, I might as well go ahead and fill it in. And then the bridge goes across just about the middle of the water, doesn't it? I'm going to try to save my drawing on the bridge, but if I lose it, I know that it goes between the banks about in the middle of the water, so I'm not going to really worry too much about it. Okay, the water goes all the way to the edge of the canvas on both sides. It's bright looking, isn't it? It's not going to stay this way though. You know, if you have that much yellow in your sky, you're going to have to show it in your water too. Okay, now to add some interest to the sky, I'm picking up a little bit of burnt sienna, and I'm going to whip it, starting at the top, working down to about the middle of the sky. Okay, now I want you to notice this. I'm leaving openings here and there, not filling it in solid, using a lighter touch on the brush as I move downward. If we've added that much burnt sienna to the sky, what are we going to have to do? You got it. We're going to have to add it to the water. We have no choice. Top of the sky, the bottom of the water, blend. Okay, I'm going to take my fan brush to blend my sky because that other one was dirty and I don't want to have a dirty sky. Blend your yellow into your yellow ochre. Lose all of your edges. Blend right on up to the sienna. Now try not to overblend in this area. If you overblend, you're going to lose. Now we want to save the edges here. We want to lose the outer edges, but we want to leave these openings. Get a little variation to the sky to keep it from looking flat. Don't blend it until you lose it. Sometimes we do that and we have to go back and put it back in, and a lot of times we end up with a muddy looking sky. We don't want to do that. Okay, cloud time. Just using white. Kind of letting it dip and peak here and there, trying to keep it from looking too symmetrical or too samey. Trying not to overwork it so that it ends up being tooky. Okay, how about another one right here? Maybe a wisp of a cloud. using the fan brush to lay this in. Just the corner of the brush. You can use another brush if you'd like. But what I do is I try to make my brushes do my work for me and not depend on any certain brush to do any certain area for me. Just learn to twist it and turn it to suit yourself. Okay, now if we have that much white in the sky, we're going to have to add it to the water, aren't we? Might as well do it now. And blend. Turning the brush to the vertical position. Can you see that? I'm sorry, not vertical. Horizontal, straight with your bristles straight across. Long strokes. Okay, now let's go back and add some background trees. Tell you what, I think I'm going to get a big brush. See if I can lay some in rather hurriedly. Let's use burnt umber and sap green. Just zip right on across here. It's going to take a lot of paint, and I'm going to have to be dipping back into the palette every so often into my puddles of paint. But I'll tell you when I change colors. You can lay it in any way you want to. You can stipple it, you can brush it, or do it any way you want to that works for you. But when you start on these treetops, you need to stipple. When you stipple, you push your brush against your canvas in sort of a patting motion. Keep your outside edges of your trees ragged. Keep the top of your trees ragged. You want to feel like that little insects and birds and animals and air could get through the tree. Tell you what, I'm going to stop just a minute and bring that sky down a little bit so that this tree won't dwarf this house over here. Afraid it might, if I don't take care of that little problem right now. No big deal. Just didn't want it to have to get too high there. And I had unpainted canvas, and I would have had to do it. It had gone up higher than what I'm doing here if I hadn't stopped and done that. Still working with the sap green and burnt umber. Gonna be working with it for a long time. The painting is going to look so dark and so dreary till we start putting the highlights on. Bright colors, pretty colors. This is the underpainting for the pretty colors that we're going to put on later. Okay, we're going to have a little cabin there, aren't we? Might as well go ahead and paint the bank to hold the cabin while we're working with this same color. Sap green and burnt umber, and every so often, if you want to, pick up a touch of alizarin crimson. It gives you a little bit of variety in your values. Just makes it look like the sun may be catching. I'm going to pick up a little alizarin here and let you see the difference. Look like the sun kind of filtering through some of these. See the difference in the sap green and the burnt umber when you don't add the alizarin? Much prettier once you do add it, but don't add it all the way across, just here and there. Here again, we don't want to get samey. Just every so often. Okay, these go up pretty high on this side, I think. Maybe a conical or a fir-shaped tree. Some kind of evergreen that has the triangular top. And I'm still working with the same colors now. Same dark dreary. Might as well fill this bank in. and get ready for some pretty things to happen. I really hate underpaintings, but they're so important. If you don't, what we're doing here is we're establishing shadows. This is our shadow structure. This is our darkest value in our painting. If you don't get good shadow structure, you're not going to have much of a painting. Your shadows are so important. They're more important than any color that you put in your painting. So, you have to work at it and get good shadows to start with, and then you can just take off and do what you want to from there. These banks look like they're floating away, don't they? Can you figure why? I bet you know we don't have reflections yet. That's part of the shadow structure. Reflections are not shadows, but that's part of the shadow structure in the painting. If you don't have good, strong reflections, you're still not going to have much of a painting. Okay, so I'm going to the fan brush, going to wash it, dry it, and I'm going to establish my reflections now. I'm going to use the same colors, the sap green and the burnt umber, and I want strong reflections. I want good, deep reflections. By deep, I mean deep color. So reload your brush. Don't just try to pull down what you have already on the bank. Because if you do, you're going to get soft, nothing, really nothing in the way of a pretty shadow. Reflection. Load your brush. Don't be afraid of it. I know this is scary, putting all this dark color on this light colored water, but you have to do it. It's just really part of the painting. You have to dirty the water. Okay, these reflections come all the way to the bottom of the canvas. And when you're putting a reflection in, did you notice that I lost that line completely, showing where the bank was joining the water? I kept working it till that line was gone. You couldn't see it anymore, so you can see over here. Now we're going to take care of that. These reflections go all the way to the bottom. I'm going to pull them up because my canvas is secured and I can't hardly get to it to pull down. Ordinarily I pull down this way all the way to the bottom of the canvas. You do it any way that's easiest for you. And I won't be mad with you. Okay, now we need to soften them. Going to wash my fan brush and dry it. Get it good and clean. Very gently I'm going to pull across these reflections and see how that's pushing them down into the water. Then I'm going to turn my brush to the horizontal position and wiggle them just a little bit. Make it look like the water has a little bit of movement in it. And leaving my white, my highlight in the middle alone. Same thing on this side. Push it down, wiggle your edges. Okay, I think I'm going to run back up there real quickly and paint the barn in. I'm going to use burnt sienna and white. Dirty, so I'm going to add a touch of burnt umber to it so that it won't be so bright. I'm going to use that for the roof. Isn't that pretty against that dark green? It's coming to life now. Down the overhang on the side didn't show up. Let's do it again. May have to put my glasses on and do that again. But whatever we need, we'll do it. Just doesn't want to do it, does it? Well, I bet you it's going to. Or it's going to wish it had. Okay, now a shadow under the E, burnt umber. All the way back. Turn your brush to the vertical position. Pull down into your barn. Soften your edges. Now I'm going to add a little white to the burn number and thin my paint just a little bit and fill in the rest of the barn. Don't want it real bright. That's the reason I'm using the umber and the white to keep it value-wise back in the distance. Okay, now let's let our light come from this direction, so we'll have to darken the front of it just a little bit, won't we? Just a little. Let's make us a doorway across there. And now this doorway can't be real bright either because it's in the shadow. This is one of those with the X's on it, and it's kind of closed. Not kind of, it is. Okay, how about some highlight on the banks, yellow, ochre, and white. Let's nestle it down. Pull one right here behind it. One that way. In front, let's see, come on through the cabin or the barn and pick it up on this side. Put another one here if you want to. Going up there. Now we're going to have to blend downward. And I used an angular stroke for this. And leave the banks dark at the bottom. Let's pull that one back that way. Remember what I said about shadows? Well, here's where it comes into play. If we pull this highlight all the way down, we'd lose our shadow at the bottom of the bank. Put a little bit more of a highlight if we want to, just a little bit more white and kind of a softer edge to it. Okay, now we're going to need water lines. White with a little yellow ochre. You would not want to put the water lines in with plain, clean white. It wouldn't work in this painting. Your water lines are broken. Every bank's going to have to be separated with water lines. Everything that's in the water you have to separate. I don't care if it's a weed. You've got to have water lines to separate it. And they can wiggle just a little bit, but they have to go straight across, even if they're kind of moving just a tad. You wouldn't take them down this way down the bank. They would go straight across. Okay, let's add our bridge now. Getting real excited. I want to get that bridge in there. Burn number to underpaint, that's the shadow. Put the boards, the post rather, on the back. Let's see, let's put one here. And these are going to be smaller than the ones we put on the front. Okay, how about some boards now? Because it is a wooden bridge. To lay it down, what are you going to do? You're going to almost lay your strokes down. If you stand them up, your bridge is going to stand straight up. Now we put the front ones on. They have to be a little bit higher, a little bit bigger. Now, what are we going to have? Reflections. Now that won't do. How in the world did I get into that alizarin crimson? Well, we'll simply have to take that off, won't we? Get out of there. You should have known better than that. We don't put up with that. Okay, back to the burn umber, and this time into the burn umber rather than the alizarin. Reflection, reflection, reflection. Shorter reflection, little reflection from the bridge. A little bit, not much. We're going to kind of push that down into the water a little bit. Okay, now we're going to soften these reflections. This takes a gentle touch. You barely want to let your brush touch your water. The ones in the back have to be shorter, so you're going to wiggle those up a little bit closer. Okay, remember what I said about water lines? Everything has a water line. These posts would too. Okay, let's put some flowers on the bank and kind of liven it up a little bit. Maybe some back in the distance too, back on the background bank. I'm going to use alizarin crimson, yellow ochre, and white. Start at the top of the bush or the tree or whatever it is. Mine is like 2 or 3 trees that have grown together. Stipple downward, leaving it dark at the bottom. And I'm not going to say shadow again because I know you're tired of hearing it. I'll just say leave it dark at the bottom. Foreshadow. Couldn't resist. Let's put one around the cabin or the barn. I think it would add a whole lot to it. Get in there. Okay, now let's start on the banks. They're just loaded down with flowers. And we're going to load them down with flowers too. Both sides, back and forth, back and forth. Every color we put on one side, we're going to put on another. Let's put a few over here. Put a touch of this color in the water. Let's add a little more yellow ochre. Put a few brighter ones, and maybe highlights on the ones that we already have. Let's go to this side and add a few. You want a little bit of that color in the water? Yes, you do. Look rather symmetrical, don't they? They look too plotted and too plain. Let's see if we can add a little bit. Little bit here and a little bit there, and take some of the stiffness out of it. Now that helped that side tremendously. But if I put the same thing on this side, it's going to look stiff again. So I'm going to step over a little bit and put it farther to the edge of the canvas. I'm going to make a little bit higher. I like that. A whole lot. Let's add just a few blue ones. Cobalt blue and white, or you could use Prussian blue and white if you wanted to. I happen to have Prussian out on my palette, although I usually use cobalt in this painting. That is giving it some added attraction. Got some in the water? Sure you do. Okay, let's add a few trees on these banks. I think I'll just start out with burnt umber and white. Thin. I'm going to get a smaller brush and see if I can thin my paint real well and see if it'll glide across this wet. Oh yeah, there we go. This wet dark paint. Pull it right on down into the flower shapes. Let it get lost in there. What you want to try to avoid here is standing all these up at the same, making them all the same height. Let's go on this side and add a few. making them all just alike. We just have a way of doing that, don't we? I don't know what happens to us. We get started painting, and I do it too. When I say we, I am including myself. Just kind of get lost in what's going on and stand them up, straight up. Now, if we had those trees on those banks and they're that light, wouldn't they reflect in the water? You know they would. Let's put a few and I'm going to put a few birds in and let this dry just a minute. Let these reflections dry just a minute. I declare it's just so pretty I can't hardly stand it. It's just pretty as a picture, isn't it? Can't hardly take it. When we get to this point in classes, we say, I like it and I love it. When it starts to shape up and the pretty colors start to come forth. Getting away from the dark underpainting. I like it and I love it. Okay, while I'm waiting on that to dry, I'm going to put a few, give us a little life here by adding a few birds in the sky. Maybe 3. Okay, now we're going to have to soften our reflections. And this is where we have to be oh so careful. Oh, so careful. Because this paint underneath is so wet. It'll just take it right off if we're not. I got that highlight up a little too high right there. Now this is cleanup time. Anything that you see after you get this far that you want to do to perfect it, just help yourself. But this is the way you put the painting together. So I think I'm going to leave it for now, and I certainly have enjoyed working with you, and I'll see you next week.